How's everyone doing? I'm Vinny Politan. Great to see you. Let's talk about KarenRead. She was in front of the Massachusetts Supreme Court. The Massachusetts Supreme Court today, a big hearing on a huge issue involving what happened at the end of her trial. You'll recall the jury was deadlocked. But then after the trial, some of the jurors reached out to the defense team, and it was 4/5 of them who came forward saying, wait a minute, we weren't deadlocked on all of the counts. We found her not guilty on counts 1 and 3. So the defense with this information went back to the trial judge, Judge Cannoni, and said, hey, listen, just heard from the jurors. They found Karen not guilty of counts 1 and 3. The red rum on the top and leaving the scene on the bottom. Like, let's bring him back in. Let's do something here, Judge. The judge denied everything. So they went to the Supreme Court. Today was the hearing. I watched it. It was fascinating to see some great legal arguments taking place inside of the courtroom. But the bottom line is KarenRead wants to bring back the jurors to hear the truth about what happened, and prosecutors want no part of it. That's what we're going to talk about, folks. I'm Vinny Politan, and this is Vinny Live.
Hey, get ready, get set, let's go.
It's true crime, streaming live, worldwide. It's Vinny Live. It's true crime, streaming live, worldwide. It's Vinny Live. Get ready to post inside the chat. Get ready for the prosecutor hat. Get set to like and to subscribe. Let's go. It's time for Vinny Live.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Great to see you. Here we go. It was the most divisive trial of 2024, and it's ending up at the end of the year here in front of the Supreme Court. So let's talk about this. And here's the bottom line, right? Is our system of justice, is the purpose to get to the truth, right? That's the purpose of a trial, right? That is the purpose of a trial, is to seek the truth. Period. End of story. That's the way it works. So now we're talking about, well, what did the jury actually conclude, right? Like how did that go down? And yet when we're talking about the most important part of a trial, which is the verdict, somehow, some way, there are some folks who aren't interested in the truth. And I find that really curious. I find it very, very curious. And the reason being, transparency and the truth is always the best disinfectant. And our system of justice is the way we keep order. Okay. This is the way we keep order in society. We set up rules. We have prosecutors. We have judges. People have rights. We bring in juries. So the whole system is based upon the public trust. Right? You set up the rules and the public trusts and they believe in it. The moment and the minute the public stops believing in it and stops trusting it, it will fail to work and may cease to exist as a true system of justice. Justice always equals the truth. And that's the way it's supposed to be. That's not the way it always works. There's gamesmanship, there's winning, there's losing, there's advocacy. I get all of that. But the foundation of everything, the whole purpose of a trial is to get to the truth. And how could we not be interested and not have as a priority understanding like what really happened? Now, And I've covered cases many years, all high profile cases, coast to coast at Court TV. That's what we do. That's what we do. So there have been other cases, including the one we just had in Georgia, where the jury sends out a note about being deadlocked, right? And it gets handled much differently in different jurisdictions around the country. However, the principles which guide that are all based in federal law. And that's something that came up today during the oral arguments in front of the Massachusetts Supreme Court was, listen, we're not talking here about Massachusetts law. We are talking about federal law, federal precedent, constitutional issues, right? So this is something where, yeah, you can say this is the way we do it in Massachusetts, but it's really should be the way that it's done or could be done anywhere, whether the practice is different. Like in Massachusetts, the one thing I noticed is they are the most hands-off of any state when it comes to the jury. Like, nobody talks to them, nothing. Let me give it an example. The case in Georgia we just did, the Ferris case, Melody Ferris. After her conviction, the judge set it up so the defense attorneys could go in and speak for an hour with the jury. Like the judge helped coordinate that. In Massachusetts, the lawyers can't interact with the jurors. They can't reach out to them. If they get contacted, that's one thing, but they can't initiate any sort of communication. The judge apparently stays out of it. And I'm watching this because we cover stories and trials in all different states. And the practice in Massachusetts, to me, it's way too extreme in like the sanctity of jury deliberations. And that's what they're leaning on. The prosecution and the trial judge is leaning on the sanctity of the jury deliberations and the work they do. I can't ask them anything. I can't talk to them. I can't do anything. And I certainly can't bring them back after the trial to find out if they actually reached a verdict on 1 and 3 and were confused about what deadlocked actually means and didn't expect that when they sent that note, the case was going to end and there was going to be no Q&A. Like the jury didn't do it the way they should have done it. What they should have done was filled out count 1 and count 3 on the verdict form and then said they were deadlocked on count 2. But they didn't fill out anything. They just sent this long note that seemed to be detailed, but included ambiguity. And the ambiguity is not going to be cleared up. The trial judge said she did not want to clear up the ambiguity. No interest in it. But you had 4 or 5 jurors coming forward and saying, it's wrong. It's wrong. So there's a constitutional battle now between like the Fifth Amendment, double jeopardy, and the Sixth Amendment, fair trial, and this whole back and forth. At the end of the day, like this, what I'm seeing happen and play out in real time is a system of justice that brings in these jurors from their everyday lives and sticks them in the courtroom, sticks them in the box, reads them some instructions, and then expects them to do everything perfectly right. Like to explain how ridiculous that is, to put the burden on the jurors to do everything exactly right and the way they're supposed to do. How many cases get overturned because a prosecutor or a judge, a trial judge, does something wrong? People who have studied this, have done this, and are getting paid to do this, versus jurors who know nothing about the system. They no idea what's going to happen next. They write a note. They don't know. They don't know. I mean, they sent notes out before and they kept getting sent back to deliberate. So how do they know when this thing ends or how it ends or what exactly they're supposed to do? Like they'll make mistakes. But if a jury makes a mistake, the way Massachusetts is handling it is if the jury doesn't understand something or makes a mistake in the way they fill it out, tough luck. Tough luck. On the other hand, if the judge makes a mistake, well, then we can fix that. If the prosecutor makes a mistake, we can fix that for a defendant. But if the people who know nothing about the law, know nothing about the process or the procedure, maybe have never even seen a trial before, come in and make a mistake, there's like nothing we can do to fix it. That's what prosecutors are basically arguing. And that's obviously what the trial judge believes. And some of the case law agrees with it. Like, it's not like the judge is pulling this out of thin air. The trial judge is pulling this from some precedent in the state of Massachusetts and otherwhere. And it's insanity. It's insane. Think about this. Regardless of what you think she did or didn't do, whether she's guilty or not guilty, right? This issue and this is irrelevant to all of that. This has nothing to do with the facts of the case. This has nothing to do with that. This has to do with how our system works or doesn't work, and whether you trust it or don't trust it. And at this point in court, her attorney was arguing to the Supreme Court, let's just bring the jury in and ask them and find out, did they actually reach a verdict on 1 and 3? If they come back and they say they didn't, it's over. We move on. But if they say they did, now, okay, what's the remedy for that? What's the remedy for that? What's the remedy when a jury doesn't understand exactly what they're doing? Right now, I'm presuming that all 12, they voted and they reached the verdict on 1 and 3 and were just deadlocked on the second count. And that's what they were arguing about or debating in the jury room. They all agreed on 1 and 3. If they all agreed on 1 and 3, but didn't fill out the paperwork the correct way, like it's paperwork, the slip. And this was the argument in front of the Supreme Court. Like you have to do this and you have to return the jury slip. The jury slip is paperwork. It's the paperwork that you X. This is a very unusual circumstance because it would have been a deadlock split verdict. And nowhere, at no point of any of this, in any instruction, is the jury told that that's a possible outcome. We presume that they could figure that out because we're all lawyers and we've all watched dozens or hundreds of trials. We understand that. We don't tell them that, well, you can reach a verdict on one count and be deadlocked on another. It's not part of the instruction. They're never instructed, told, or asked about any of that. Whose fault is that? Is that the 12 people who came in and fulfilled their civic duty? Or is that the fault of our system that doesn't inform them enough? And then they make a mistake and with the paperwork, and the defendant is the one that has to defend charges twice in a country that does not allow you to be charged twice for the same crime, where we have double jeopardy. To me, that doesn't make sense. Again, this has nothing to do with the facts of the case. This has to do with the process and the procedure of jury deliberations. To me, this is insanity. This is legal if, right? But and here's the thing. We don't even get to the if because nobody wants to know except the defense if it's true, if all 12 jurors actually agreed on count 1 and 3. The judge didn't want to know because she felt like she couldn't inquire because that would be a violation and an interference into the jury process. I listened to the Supreme Court today. It was hard to tell which way they were leaning. They questioned the defense attorney longer than the prosecutor, it seemed. A lot more questions. But at the end, it seemed like there was a way. There's a way to at least bring the jury in and find out if that's the case, if they messed up the paperwork. Like, think about this. Think about how crazy. All right. I don't know if I disappeared. I've got some internet issues. It's crazy. I got Ethernet. I'm plugged into the wall. Why would I have internet problems? Anyhow, where was I? Think about this. Defending yourself against red rum charges twice because someone made a mistake with the paperwork. That's actually what we're talking about here. If, but we got to find out if. Like, why would you not find out if that's actually what went on with this jury? Like, there are exceptions. You could bring a jury back, 20 years later, if there's an allegation that there was an element of racism introduced during deliberations, and verdicts have been overturned for that. But things aren't overturned because a jury agreed that you're not guilty. Like, to me, that's even more extreme. Like that, there's not a lot of case law in this area, but the case law really focuses in on extrinsic things that influence the jury, much like the allegations in the Murdoch case, where there were allegations that the court clerk somehow influenced the jury in that case. Okay. And so they brought the jurors back and very narrowly questioned them on certain things about that. But what is more fundamental to all of this than finding out if a jury didn't understand the instructions on what they were supposed to do and reached a verdict but didn't fill out the paperwork correctly because they were hung up on one of 3 counts? Could you imagine? Like, in what world do we not go get past that? Like, if a judge or a lawyer makes a mistake like that, they're not going to have to face red rum charges again. Yet in this case, that's what could potentially happen if these 12 people agreed. Again, this argument and all of this is really almost separate from the underlying case, because the case was tried in the court and the jury is the one who makes the decision. We can keep our opinions about whether or not we thought she was, blackout drunk and did it, or she was angry and she did it, or she was framed and didn't do any of it. All of that was for the jury to determine. And at a minimum, according to these 4/5 jurors, they did agree that she didn't do it on purpose, unanimously. If that's the case, why should you have to convince 12 more people? Why should you have to face that charge again? That does that seem fair? So, now, I know the people who think that she's guilty are going to say, well, who cares? She's guilty, right? Well, this goes beyond her. This issue is bigger than this case. This is a situation where our system of justice, because of and it could happen in other ways. There's other ways that a jury could mess up to the detriment of a defendant and make an honest mistake because they just don't know. And everybody else, we all have to put blinders on and say, well, they didn't fill it out and they on the jury slip, so too bad. Does that seem right? Like, that's nothing I learned in law school, that a problem with your paperwork. It's always about finding justice, finding the truth and fairness. And we learned about the Constitution. We learned about you can't be tried twice for the same crime. You go to court, you defend yourself, and a jury comes back and says not guilty or believes you're not guilty unanimously. Why should you have to do it again? And our system hasn't messed up. And the trial judge here is following the law. And it was conceded by the defense that they're carving out this exception to double jeopardy where it's never really been applied before. So this is the defense pushing the precedent. Okay? So I am not here taking a look at the judge saying that, Judge, what is she thinking? What I'm doing is saying, why is our system set up in a way that when the judge does what she does, it seems to be following precedent and the law? Like sometimes precedent and the law needs to be changed because it's wrong. It's unfair. It's unjust. It doesn't make sense. And that's what I'm saying here. I mean, there are Supreme Court cases that have been overturned, some of them more recently than others. And the law changes because there's an understanding that it's unjust. It doesn't make sense. It's unfair. So double jeopardy is a big deal. That's a big, big, big deal in our system. And I don't know if every other system of justice has that. I mean, it's very unique to ours. The presumption of innocence and double jeopardy are very, very fundamental. And your right to remain silent. All of that's so fundamental to your rights when the government or the state or the Commonwealth comes after you and is trying to take away your liberty. So that's what happened today. I'm going to talk about it on my show tonight at 8 o'clock. I have to make this relatively quick today, by the way, because I have some things I got to do, take care of. But I wanted to talk about this because I think it's important. It's set for a retrial. The retrial will happen in 2025. The question, I guess, now is, will it be for all 3 counts or just the manslaughter while operating a vehicle under the influence, right? Which is, I think, 5 to 20. That's a 5 to 20 versus, potential life. So looking at where it is, I don't know which way the Supreme Court was very good in what they did. Justices asked a lot of questions. They made their own sort of arguments to both sides. So you really couldn't get a read on where they were leaning. You could see them going either way with this. I would say odds are against the defense on winning here, but I think there is a chance that they may order the jury to come back and just find out from the jury, was that what they did? And I think what the Supreme Court would have to do if they do order that is also give some guidance as to, okay, if that's the case, then what happens? What happens next if the jury comes back and says, yeah, it was unanimous? What's the remedy for the defense? Is the remedy that those counts are now gone off the indictment? I almost feel like if they came back and said that, I feel like there's almost an onus on the prosecution at that point to drop those charges, to drop them. You lost. The paperwork was done wrong. And it might be a smart call by them to do that because if in fact the Supreme Court makes a decision that then goes against them, that becomes the new precedent. So sometimes you concede a particular case to make sure that precedent doesn't go on the books. But at this point, it might be too late for that. So the trial's going to happen in 2025. I think both sides want to start it in the spring, in April, which I also want because it's going to be much warmer and a little bit lighter out. I mean, you do a trial in January up there in Massachusetts, it's going to be dark at 3:30. It's going to be freezing cold. But, that's neither here nor there. All right, folks. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. I'm going to get to some of your comments in just a moment. Live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and X today. If you're on YouTube, please follow. Facebook, follow and share. YouTube, like it and subscribe. Twitch, please share it and follow. And X, re-X and follow as well. All right, we begin with Mike B from the 413. I think it shows potential bias by Judge Cannoni. Several of the justices intensely questioned the prosecution about not polling the jury and no discussion with both sides before a final decision. Yeah, we're going to dive into this, and I'm going to show you, we're going to break down exactly what happened in those moments. But I don't know if it shows bias necessarily, but it was kind of peculiar the way the trial ended. So the first note, there was a discussion. The second note, there was a discussion with counsel. The third note, what happens is Judge Cannoni comes out on the bench, says we have an impasse, calls for the jury immediately. They come out, they're seated, I think, or they're coming out within like 30 seconds. They enter the courtroom, they start getting in. Then the judge reads the note. I believe the note was not given to counsel on either side, so they're hearing the note for the first time. And then right after reading the note, she declares a mistrial. So there really wasn't time, seemingly, for there to be a discussion, and the process was different for the third note than it was for the first two. That's kind of getting into the weeds a little bit, but the weeds are important in this case. So yeah, and I don't like that system. Like if you have 3 counts and you're about to declare a mistrial, then you just want to make sure, like they sent a very detailed note. And at the time I actually said, this is an amazing note. But when you really read the note, in light of the fact that there are 3 charges or 3 counts in the indictment, you're saying that, well, it's slightly ambiguous. Should the judge probe just a little bit? Like, hey, Mr. Foreman or Ms. Foreman, I don't know which it was. I think it was a man, but I'm not sure. Are you guys deadlocked on count 1? Are you deadlocked on count 2? Are you deadlocked on count 3? And if there's anything other than a yes or no, poof, hold it right there. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. What I want you to do is go back or give a further instruction. If there's counts you're not deadlocked on, fill out your jury slip and let us know what counts you're deadlocked on, right? That would be the way, in retrospect, that it should have been handled. I don't know if it's legal in Massachusetts or the practice in Massachusetts, but other states that I've covered, that's the way they do it. But what usually happens is the jury sends out a note saying deadlocked on this count. We have a verdict on this count. This jury didn't do that. Maybe they didn't understand what deadlocked actually meant. But we'll never know unless the Supreme Court orders a hearing and to bring the jury back into the courtroom. Now, the other aspect of this that everyone's concerned about is the safety of the jury, the anonymity of the jury as well. And I get that. I get that. We don't want them to be in harm's way. But it's part of your civic duty. Your name will be released at some point. Trials are public. That's just the law. That's just our system of government. That's the way it works. It's just the way it works. There are people who are put in much more difficult situations when you are a juror in a gang case or a mob case, inherently dangerous. And they try to protect as much they can the jurors, but eventually it's a public trial. So how do you get around that? There is no way around it. At some point, you're going to be public anyway. Now, to do this hearing, could you seal the courtroom? No, but you could make sure the cameras aren't turned on the jurors. You may not use the jurors' names in the courtroom. You may just refer to them by their numbers. We've seen that. When we did the Murdoch case, the jurors were brought back into the courtroom. They weren't shown on camera. No one sees them. So there's ways to protect to a certain extent, but nobody can be protected 1,000%. So you're going to protect them against someone who's breaking the law. Maybe, if there's an actual threat, like just feeling that, I don't want I don't want anyone to know who I am. just because I fear someone might do something generally isn't enough. That isn't enough for a restraining order. You have to show that there's some sort of actual threat out there. So I don't know. We live in a free society. There's just so much limitation you can have on free speech, how much limitation you can have in keeping things secret in a public trial. It doesn't work that way. Ashley Bouchard, it's 5:06 in Mass and already dark. Yeah, exactly. A January trial in Massachusetts is like my, I'd still go up there, but it would not be, it'd be a little more difficult. And I wonder what would the scene be like outside the courthouse. My guess would be it wouldn't be much different because folks in Massachusetts are used to the cold. They're used to the dark. It's us coming in from out of town. That would. Oh, Abby, every time you say red rum makes me think of the famous racehorse Red Rum. Yeah. Well, you all know what I'm talking about. By the way, a big thank you to Frankie Figs and Gen X who are keeping order in the chat today.
Order in the chat. Order in the chat. Don't dare attack. We've got order in this chat. The Mod Squad is on the job, helping us to keep it clean. The Mod Squad is on the job, always so nice and never mean. So let's give it up and say hello to the three amazing ladies running the show. Gen X, let's make some noise. Frankie Figs, let's clap our hands. And Jennifer Subay, let's raise the roof. Order in the chat. Order in the chat. Don't dare attack. We've got order in this chat. The Mod Squad is on
thankful
the job,
for our Mod Squad, Gen
helping
X,
us
Frankie
to keep it
Figs,
clean.
Jennifer Subay,
The Mod Squad is on the job,
making sure you guys don't
helping
act
us
up.
to keep it clean. The Mod
I think we got
Squad is
a
on the
great
job,
crew.
always so nice and never mean.
That's why the chats are fun. And I encourage people to disagree in the chat. Just don't be disagreeable. That's all. That's all. You don't have to agree with me either. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can agree with me, but you don't have to agree with me. Court TV's in the house. Hello to Court TV. Make sure you folks go over there and subscribe to the Court TV channel as well. They also have a membership program, which is awesome. So you want to check that out. All right. Jury Duty Pod, Kimberly B. Never thought I'd find Karen Read coverage more relaxing than, well, everything else today. Yeah, it is kind of relaxing. Myron saying there should be no retrial period, Vinny. The corruption in the case is enough for me. But there will be. Prosecutors have said it already. I think the real outstanding question, and it'll be up to the Supreme Court of Massachusetts to a certain extent to figure out if it's going to be a red rum trial or an MS trial. All right. Let's see who else is here. I'm trying to stay a little more current today. Let's see. Just scrolling through, back and forth. It's like spinning a wheel, trying to see where it's going to land. Yeah, I froze. I'm looking back at some notes here that I froze up a little bit. I did, in fact, freeze up a little bit. I don't know why, because I have the Ethernet. I am plugged in. I'm not on Wi-Fi per se. Like it comes to the house, goes to a wire goes to the wall goes right into my computer. So I don't know what's going on. Yes, Laura, explaining that I'm a lawyer. Yeah, I'm a lawyer. My daddy, he's a liar. Your daddy's a liar? Oh, a lawyer. Gotcha. Yeah, that's me. I'm a lawyer. Attorney at law. Jennifer Sube here saying, hey, everybody. Hey, 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 hey. Oh, my.
Time to get happy. It's time to get funky. It's time for us to smile. Because here comes Max Spunky.
Big Spunky. You're suggesting some new lyrics here, I think, for the theme song. Vinny Live, beautiful blue eyes, creamy thighs. Thank you, McSpunk. Always great to see McSpunky in the midst of it all. All right. All right, let's see. Janae B. Tell me where I find you at 8 p.m., 6 p.m. Arizona time. Court TV. Court TV, your front row seat to justice. It is Court TV. And I'm sure someone will post on how you can find it. Yeah, Gen X already on it tonight, 8 p.m. Closing arguments. There you have it. You can click on those links and you'll figure out how to tune in, which you can do on your phone. You can do it on your computer. You can do it on Roku. You can do it on YouTube TV. You can do it on your digital antenna. It's kind of like bubblegum shrimp. There's 1,000 different ways to have it, folks. You can watch Vinny on the YouTube. You can watch Vinny on the app. You can watch Vinny on the Roku. You can watch Vinny on your PC. Lots of different ways. Sue Forte. Hello. Hello, Sue. Love to see you, Sue. All right. We are doing well. We are doing well. Mm-hmm. All right. Megan Malaya getting into the FBI exonerated Karen Read. Their experts said there was no way he was struck by a vehicle. Their experts dropped the cell phone evidence, including all the butt dials in Jen McCabe Google search. It was very helpful. The investigation by the feds. By the way, folks, I'm having a little glucose because a little roller coaster ride today. Something happened somewhere. So I'm just trying to level it out a little bit right now. We're going down. We're going down a little too far. I'm going to kick it up one notch. Some petite mango nectar. I get this in the box because you don't have to refrigerate it. If you're a type 1 diabetic like me, you know you always need something, whether it's in the nightstand or in your studio. Thank you, Megan, for the big note. I'm able to hide myself drinking this behind it. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Matt Johnson, free Karen Read. Zigzag. Karen Read is guilty. There you go. Julie Francis, love your show. Love the mods. Detest the music interludes. Wow, that's like my favorite part, Julie. Love the doggies. Yes, the music interludes. You know, when I do my TV show, we have commercials. So it's an opportunity. You know, sometimes if you have to go to the men's room or your throat's getting a little scratchy or you want to look something up, or for me, The beauty of the interludes is I can dive into the chat for a few seconds. None of the interludes are that long, though. Maybe some of them seem longer than they actually are. But Julie, someday you may have your own musical interlude, and then you'll understand. And then I think you'll be on team musical interlude. But thank you, Julie, for watching. Great to see you. Prince Lover, big time Karen Read supporter. A Karen Read supporter. Justice for John O'Keefe as well. Free Karen Read. Let's see. So people are debating the facts of the case right now. All right, Mike B from the 413. Can the Supreme Justice Court ask or order Judge Canone to appear to answer questions about the action she took from the point of issuing first jury? No, the way it works with the Supreme Court, what they'll do is based upon the record. So they get the transcripts, right? They get the transcripts of the record of what happened, plus they get the briefs, the legal arguments, and case law submitted by both sides. They listen to the oral arguments, they ask questions, and based upon all that, they render an opinion and may issue an order. What they can do many times, if they want, they can say, no, there's nothing here. Your relief is denied. Or if they rule in favor of Karen Read, I just downed this mango. What they can do is order the judge to have a hearing and take testimony from the jury based upon questions that they say must be asked of the jury, narrowly ask the questions, and then based upon those findings, take further action and remand it back to the trial court. That's what they can do. They're not going to take testimony. They will send it back to the trial court to take any testimony in the case. So that's how it works. So no, Judge Canone will not be questioned. Wendy, laughing. Vinny, you're cracking up. Yeah, I am. Kristen Miller, Vinny, we need you in our family. Be a member of the family. I'm not sure what family that is, Kristen, but I think we're all in the same family, the family of justice. Juice box time. Yeah, it was. Another reason I just got to keep my eye on what's happening. Sometimes the blood sugar looms larger than other times during the program. My main thing is I need to level it out and make sure it's good for the TV show. Julie Fornell asking, why didn't Karen get out of her car when she thought she may have hit something? I don't think she's conceding that she believes she hit something. I would have gotten out and checked. She's guilty. And that's Julie Fornell on Facebook. But I don't think at any point during the trial, they conceded that she acknowledged striking anything. I mean, their argument was, I'm having another one of these just in case. It's going to shoot back up, though. It's coming down, but it's going to shoot back up. I'm just trying to see. The problem is I can see how much active insulin I have in my system right now. All right. Let me see. Justice Junkie, when you dropped your mic the other night on Vinny Investigate, it happens, folks. You recovered it well and made me laugh. Love watching your show. It's live. Anything can happen. So yeah, so what happens is I'm sitting on the it's like a stool type chair, and I have my insulin pump. So sometimes it's like kind of bulky to put all these things on my belt. There's the earpiece, a wire runs to a transmitter, and then the microphone's on a transmitter. So I just put them behind me so I don't have to put them all on my belt, in addition to my insulin pump that I have. So it gets a little bulky, and I do a wardrobe change from the 8 o'clock hour to the 9 o'clock hour. And what happened was it was the earpiece that actually fell. It wasn't the microphone. I thought it was the microphone. So I wasn't even sure if the people watching could hear me because the mic fell and was disconnected, but it was just the earpiece that got disconnected for a moment. But thank you, Justice Junkie. That's the beauty of watching my show every night. It's live. You never know what's going to happen. Much like this live stream, you never know exactly what's going to happen, especially when your blood sugar is a little wonky at this moment. Kells, do we get to guess your blood sugar readings? Yes, at the end of the show, coming up pretty soon. And it's a little wonky tonight. I'm just telling you. It got a little high, but then it came. It was nosediving, so I took the juice box, and I had a couple of these doodads right here. Because I don't want to take too much of that stuff because then it shoots back up again and then you're on a roller coaster. So we will play the game. We will play the game. Let's see. All right. Our mystery singer. Awesome picture. Zigzag. The FBI paid experts to testify John O'Keefe, not hit by a car, died of blunt force trauma. Farwell under federal indictment. Proctor terminated. Kevin Alberts suspended. Alberts and Morrissey next. We'll see. A lot of drama. And the second trial is going to be different. It's going to be different. No matter what. Even if it's the same charges, it's going to be different. Look at Ashley Bouchard, went to high school with the Sullivan sisters. You went to high school with the Sullivan sisters? That's awesome. Okay, Abby Pierce, I've got to understand this. Vinny, I love watching you from Bath in the UK. Okay. Is it back in the UK? Is Bath the name of a town, city, or region? Or are you literally in the bath in the UK? Everybody wants the answer to that, apparently, Abby. So, but thank you for watching from across the pond. Across the pond and in the bath? I guess it's possible. All right. Rights on. FBI experts said no way SUV versus pedestrian. No injuries to the body. Zero, no broken bones. The head was pummeled, period. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So that was the most helpful part of the defense case actually arose like just before the trial, which was all this information they were getting, including experts from the federal investigation. Yeah, that was a big part of the trial, right, son? Here's Sunshine Susie. You need protein in your dinner to keep up the level. My son has type 1. Do it. Let me tell you about my lunch, which is my dinner. Like I have one big meal a day during the week. It was a jumbo smash burger. I'm telling you, this thing was like this. So I had plenty of protein, jumbo smash cheeseburger. And then I had my side plate was the fresh mozzarella, Campari tomatoes, 2 avocados, with Evu, white wine vinegar, and a splash of balsamic cracked Himalayan salt. That's what I had, Sunshine Susie. But for whatever reason, it took things out of whack a little bit here today. And my 5 cats. Does Vinny ever show an appearance in his Facebook group? I chat in there regularly. I did the video of Miss Spoon. Yeah, I jump in there from time to time. It's sporadic. It's spontaneous. Sometimes if something comes up in the conversation, it shows up in my feed and I see it, I jump in. Sometimes I will just seek out the group and see what everybody's talking about. But yeah, there are times I'm jumping in there. But I'll be honest with you, I've got a lot of moving parts right now going on. I'm doing physical therapy for my shoulder. I exercise in the morning. I have to prepare for my 8:00 show in the afternoons. I jump on here live. I've got to produce those musical interludes. But yeah, so it's time management. I jump around all over, sort of in a spontaneous, unplanned manner. I will tell you this though. Hopefully, over the holiday season break, I'll pull back a little bit and get a break from my show for a few days and have some time to really organize for 2025. Some of the things that I want to do here, Facebook and other places, just to be a little more consistent and set up a program. And part of that is mastering some technical things and figuring out sort of a schedule for doing stuff. So I think what you'll see in 2025 is a little more consistency here on YouTube, consistency on Facebook, a little more interaction in some different places. So I've got all that going on. But like right now, doing the show every night, it's like you're on a hamster wheel and you're just running. You have no time to catch your breath. But each year around the holidays is usually a time where I can catch my breath. That's when sometimes I'll retool the television show for the following year, and set up some new segments and things that we want to do. And we really have done that. And it, like the whole Vinny Politan Investigates, it took a while to get that together. And it really started last year around the holidays is when the idea was born and the plans were put in place. And then we set up a schedule to finally get to where we needed to be. So the same will happen here online when I have time to just stop the world from spinning for 5 days, 6 days, a week, and just be able to catch your breath and then think and set up. Starting to level a little bit right now. But not exactly where I need to be. Anyhow, that's what we're thinking about my 5 cats. I hope that answers that in a long way. Slow, interesting social media posts from them. Show interesting social media posts from them. I'm trying to figure out what that's referencing. Is that still the Sullivan sisters? I'm not sure. But thank you, Ashley. Sue Forte, Vinny, prosecutor overcharged since the beginning, dropped the second-degree charge. Dropped the charges. This case dramatically changed. It dramatically changed when it changed from the MS operating under the influence to a red rum charge. I mean, that changed everything drastically. It changed the way I looked at the case. And it changed what was at stake. I think changed the level of intensity of everything involved. So, and originally that was the original charge. Then the charges were upgraded. Mm-hmm. All right. Good conversation today. because of everything going on here, and I want to level myself out, I'm just going to end a little bit quicker than I normally do. I usually go $1.20 on these, but I'm doing about an hour today, just under an hour, just because I want to, be ready for the show tonight. But tune in tonight, folks. 9 o'clock, we're doing Karen Read. 8 o'clock, Delphi case. I mean, huge developments in the defense case there. Huge developments. That the testimony wrapping up. It looks like closing arguments will be tomorrow in Delphi. So we've got our people there. The cameras have been banned. So make sure you watch 8 o'clock tonight. Live report from Delphi, Indiana on that case. 9 o'clock, we'll bring in our locals for the Karen Read case. And yeah, that's exactly real. When you're less busy, we ever do a Q&A. I did do one Q&A. We did it on Court TV's YouTube stream for the members, for the membership. We did a little Q&A there, but we'll do one here for sure. And one of the things that I'd like to do is have a show that is driven by the audience, right? An audience-driven show where we talk about the community and what's going on in the community, rather than, hey, we're talking about this case, we're talking about that case, we're talking about what happened here, what happened there. And I think I'd like to make that like a weekly kind of thing where there's a Q&A, and maybe like Ashley is, thank you, Emily Wilson. And like Ashley's talking about the page, where I take a look and I could post stuff that people are talking about on my page on Facebook. Maybe maybe we'll running stuff in the community on YouTube. That's something I want to do. It's like a show about nothing, but about everything, if you know what I mean. So I think that's something that I've been thinking about and want to get in the works. And I think it'll be good for our community. I think it'll be good for the community. It'll be a little more fun and a little less red rummy, if you know what I mean. So there you have it. So that's it, folks. So let's see. Let me take a look here. All right. Yeah, we're doing a little better. So if you've been watching and listening, you know that today's been a blood sugar day. Things have been a little wonky. All right. I can handle it. But thank you so much for watching. It's great to have you all here. Make sure you watch my show tonight. Thank you to our mod squad, Gen X, Frankie Fakes, and Jennifer Sube. And thank you for all the super chats and all the great conversation that we've been having. That's it for this show, the content-wise. But we do take a moment where it's time for you to guess what's his blood sugar.
There's a type 1. He's type 1. His pancreas is on fruits. He has diabetes, type 1 juvenile diabetes. And so it's time to guess.
Everybody's a little high right now. A little lower.
What's his blood sugar? What's Vinny's blood sugar? Under 70, he gets lightheaded. Under 60, all the alarms start ringing. Over 180, he starts to get lethargic. But when it's 90, Vinny, eyes are singing.
Lower!
And so it's time to guess, is more or less. What's his blood sugar? What's Vinny's blood sugar?
Anita!
Take a guess. Yes, take a guess.
Beautiful
Let's
kid.
guess.
Wow.
Vinny's blood sugar now.
Congratulations to Anita Mayhew Wilson. 75 is the number. And double trouble there. Fantastic picture. Yeah, this is actually the lowest I've ever been on one of these streams where we've done Guess the Blood Sugar. And that's why I got to check out right now. But yeah, Pink Rose got it as well. Estranged. Kells. There we go. Kells had it too. Yeah, there we go, folks. Great job, everyone. Great job. Great to see you. I'm Vinnie Politan. Have a great night. I'll see you at 8 o'clock. In the meantime, don't forget to hug the kids.
Get ready, get set, let's go. It's true crime, streaming live, worldwide. It's Vinny Live. It's true crime, streaming live, worldwide. It's Vinny Live. Get ready. So post inside the chat. Get ready for the prosecutor hat. Get set to like and to subscribe.